LAN Finals with myself, ODPixel, and Drasko. We're ready to get ourselves into Game 4 between Na'Vi and Virtus.pro here, and well, it's certainly panning out to be quite a series. What are we seeing so far from the draft? Well, Na'Vi, they get themselves first pick there this time, and they will secure themselves the Lesh. They follow up with the SD, and VP opting for the classic Shadow Fiend Earthshaker combination to open up with.
It's a really strong opening. We have yet to see G Shadow Fiend in this entire best of 5 so far, so I'm really excited for that. I think that it's interesting. If you look at the last draft, they had Lina mid, and then it was versus a Shadow Fiend and a Shaker. So it's two very good lane dominating heroes against SF, and then a potential roaming Shaker. So I'm curious how Na'Vi are going to deal right now with the supports of Virtus.pro, because Lil is getting his hands on a hero that Na'Vi actually felt so inclined to first phase ban. They do it, I think, was it 2 games or 1 game? I know they definitely did it once. Maybe they did it 2 times, but Visage coming out for him.
Indeed, and it was Na'Vi last time, I believe, in the first best of 3. They managed to beat the VP Visage, but that was when they had the Snako Wyvern, which is still available in the draft. I guess, even though Snako, we've seen him play the SD, I guess they could put art style on it, and they could decide to opt for the Wyvern themselves. I mean, do you think that's something they're thinking about here?
It's possible. So far for me, the thing that stands out the most is the adaptation of draft from both teams. I mean, look at these second phase bans right now. Brood obviously was picked last game. That one's a little bit more standard. Like, you want to take it out regardless if you don't have a lot of AoE to be able to cope with it in some stage of the game. But they're taking out the Silencer from Na'Vi. That is just pure respect to Illidan and the way they played around it. I think it's solely because of the fact that they took that Shadow Demon, and VP, they're going to go for the Drow Visage against the Lycan. And I gotta say, this is a really interesting matchup because during the laning phase, having a Drow Visage pretty much means that you will crush your lanes. Like, that's what it's built around, right? You beat the lanes, you snowball, you go for towers, you end the game in like 25-30 minutes. If Lycan manages to get off the ground, and with the help of Shadow Demon and Winter Wyvern, 2 very good defensive supports in their own right, they also have Lesh mid. It could be a very similar style to what we saw in the first game, where Virtus.pro have a very big advantage going into the early game, and then as things start to roll out, Na'Vi's team becomes a little bit stronger, then eventually they're going to be able to snowball, and then they also have a Lycan to fall back on as well. The big difference, though, is that this time VP actually have physical damage. Like Shadow Fiend and Drow together with Visage, that's already enough physical damage to threaten any composition, regardless of how tanky you are. It's going to be an interesting game.
So the final ban's coming out. VP, they take away the Centaur from Funnick, and Na'Vi, they're going to be looking to take away as well, potentially a hero from Phobos. I guess it could be the Phobos Earthshaker if they wanted to run that inside of VP, and they want to put someone else for the Drow Visage lane. That is an option as well. We'll see what Na'Vi reckon that they're thinking about.
I think Clockwork is still very good to take away from VP right now.
Okay.
I think it's a hero, like they lack an initiator, and VP actually banned out Centaur themselves. They could be looking for the off lane. Oh, they're going to take out the Phoenix. Actually, that also would have been very good. That hero probably draws more attention than the Clockwork does in the laning phase against these particular supports. So maybe Na'Vi want the potential to have a decent 1v1 matchup for their Lycan if the SD and the Winter Wyvern decide to move. Because against Leshrac mid, either of those heroes solo rotating can kill the Shadow Fiend. Assuming the Shaker is not in the area, which if it is support Shaker, we can kind of assume he will be. And instead it's going to be the Phobos Puck, so something we haven't gotten to see in at least a little while. And it's kind of the same notes as Clockwork, just easier to lane. It's a hero who can rotate, initiate for you. He doesn't have quite the same solo kill power as a Clock, but his team fight, however, is ridiculous. And it is a very common pairing with Drow Visage.
Yes, absolutely. He's already going to have that bonus there in the laning stage to help him out with the CS department up against Na'Vi. And Na'Vi with this final pick for Funnick, what do you think they're looking at this point?
Sand King.
The Funnick SK. Okay.
Didn't give me much time to think on that one. It was like, nope, we're taking the Sand King. No big deal. But I think the Sand King is great. If you look at the way that VP's lanes are most likely going to happen, it's going to be Puck probably in the off lane. FNG and Lil are going to be supporting Illidan in the safe lane. You're going to have G mid. And that means that if Funnick gets either a hard off lane or somehow ends up in a 1v1, he'll probably do fine if he goes up against Phobos. And then I don't think Na'Vi are going to go aggressive, so that scenario is unlikely to happen. But if he wants, he can just go stack the jungle for himself and just farm up a quicker blink. I think one of the key points in playing against Drow Visage is if you're not going to be able to win your lanes anyway, you can actually just sack the offlane entirely with some hero who can farm the woods and can have an impact item like a blink to be able to stop those mid-game pushes and maybe land a big epi. Because these heroes by nature are not very tanky. Like G will most likely go towards mech just to increase the death ball potential, but you can probably have your blink dagger at around the same time he picks that up. So I think Funnick Sand King is going to be very important to keep an eye on this game for Na'Vi.
Indeed, and here and it's going to need to be. Of course, the side of VP still in that position where they just need to take one game and they will be claimed the champions here of the Dream League Season 3 LAN Finals. And let's see what goes on as we get ourselves in. Na'Vi versus VP, Game 4. Having phone calls are called. And let's see what kind of lanes we end up going with. As you said, it looks like Na'Vi will indeed play the defensive tri-lane situation here. And it does also look like VP are going to do that as well. So the tri-lanes are avoiding each other. For Funnick, though, it's not going to be a lot of fun against the Drow Visage.
No, definitely not. And let's see if we start off with any detection here from the side of VP. There's a little bit of money on Lil at the moment, so if he wants to go back and buy some more sentries, or FNG can bring them down, they should be able to effectively zone out Funnick. But again, this is a situation where if he wants to, he can just go to the jungle and farm. Now, the one thing that you're going to be doing if you leave and you go opt for like the quicker blink dagger is that there's a higher probability that they're going to be camping the Shadow Fiend mid on the side of VP. So like FNG will probably just sit behind the Shadow Fiend the entire time, but that's going to happen anyway. So you're basically just saying, okay, well the Visage will pull and get some farm, but I'm also going to farm. Just depends on how much he wants to prioritize getting that early game blink dagger.
I guess that is one of the pluses, the fact that it's just going to be the Drow Visage in lane against Funnick. And well, we'll see how the offlanes go for both. Phobos against the kind of heroes that Na'Vi have, you know, the Lycan, the Shadow Demon, and what's going to be the Wyvern. In terms of catching out the puck, he should be alright here, shouldn't he, Phobos? He should be able to escape every time.
They can't kill him. There's not a chance. They might be able to zone him a bit, but we also have to take into consideration Drought Aura. And Phobos will likely make some pretty decent trades as long as it's 1v1 support. Lil's going to spot out Funnick here. He's doing a little bit of damage, making sure he's not going to get in experience range. Keeping that hero away from level 2 and 3 is massively important, because a level 1 jungle Sand King, pretty meh. But if you get to level 2 Sandstorm, that's already enough to self-sustain on your own, and then you can just continually farm away.
I mean, in terms of levels, is there a point where Funnick's kind of already pre-planning that he's going to leave this lane, or will it just be a case of if VP are able to find the kills, Funnick's just going to sack the bottom lane and he'll just try and stick down here as long as possible?
He'll probably stay as long as he can. I think if he feels too pressured, he will eventually just collapse into the woods instead. But he's already got support stacking for him, so it's not really too big of a deal. He's going to get that Grave Chill here, taking a lot of right clicks, actually. He even has to panic skill the burrow because he's afraid he might drop.
Mid lane, as we're seeing SF going up against the Leshrac and Dendi. Finding the split earth, there'll be a Fisher coming back in return, and oh, G hasn't got the mana though to follow through with any raises. Just trading the hits here, and of course G, as well as having the Shaker backup, the fact that he has got this Drow on the team as well is going to make it a little bit nicer for the Shadow Fiend in terms of finding the farm against the Lesh. And Seneko is potentially looking for that Courier Snipe. The money is nearly there for this bottle, so if he hangs around, he might find it.
He does this all the time, though. I would be very surprised if VP don't react, at least with the Courier, because a lot of people now, they just walk it around instead, and Funnick once again getting scouted out here.
Oh, and Illidan, he skilled the Gust, so Funnick might not get away. The silence is not going to last long enough, and Funnick will find the strike, but only just. I mean, the lane already proving to be quite a nightmare for him, and well, if FNG is going to come back, he's going to find Seneko here. As you said, it looks like VP were very well aware of what Seneko likes to do in these kind of lineups, and that's going to mean that Shadow Fiend is going to safely get that bottle out to him. There'll be a rotation from Phobos as well, heading towards that top rune, and mid lane, well, Denny trying to go in, bringing G low. Phobos will be able to find himself the bounty, and Seneko just turning around here, trading hits with him. We're going to see movement from the Shadow Demon coming down as well, but nothing's going to come of it, and no one dropping yet on either side.
Seems like both these teams play against each other quite a bit. Like, they just know the rotations. Like, okay, he has Winter Wyvern. He's going to try to snipe my Courier. I'm just going to walk up here and make sure it doesn't happen. And this is just one of the benefits of having a support babysit you, a Shadow Fiend. It just means that G's early game is going to be great.
Dendi. Oh, just able to get out. A couple of raises flying through, not quite enough. And Seneko, of course, with that Arctic burn. Going to be a little bit of an annoyance top lane. Well, Phobos finds himself a solo kill, taking down the Shadow Demon and getting away with his life intact as well. So
that Drow damage. That's one thing you always got to watch out for. And they even get the Dire Courier.
With the Visage Illusions. Very nicely done there by Lil.
I don't even understand how that can happen. That's actually so bad. I mean, thankfully, Dendi actually has this bottle, so they can teleport supports mid and make sure that you can refill it once they die and come back to base bottom. Yeah.
Also, I was trying to set up something here for Funny. He's trying to move forward, but again, the Gust from Illidan holding back the Sand King. Funny's going to continue to try and move closer and closer. What level is Funny? It's just a level 1 burst strike, so the range is going to be that great. Lil might look to try and deny himself. No, he thinks he can stay alive. It's not going to be a case, and Na'Vi will be able to clean up that kill there onto the Visage.
And they get on the board. I think he might have been able to get the deny with Soul Catcher if the Wolves crit him. Like, one of them would have had to have crit, I think, in order to get that deny, but would have been worth a try, I think. I think he spent his money regardless, not going to be too huge of a loss. And again, the Shadow Demon leaves the lane, which means, hey, we got a Drow or a Puck in the off lane against your safe lane Lycan. Not going to be having a great time.
Looking at the farm at the moment for both the position ones, it's fairly even, and of course does have that slight edge against the Drow Ranger we're seeing from VP, but still, it's early days, and in this kind of game, with the kind of lineup that VP run, they're going to be obviously very push-orientated, at least at the same time, so is Na'Vi, you know, running a position one Lycan. It kind of feels like they're playing for the same timing in this game.
I think VP's timing is actually a bit earlier because their timing starts when you skill your Drow Aura. Basically, okay. It's just like, we want the lanes to go well for us. Already they get 10 bonus damage, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's essentially just having like a bladed attack and an extra branch in your inventory in terms of damage. So it's nothing small, especially with these heroes like Shadow Fiend who excel once they already have a decent damage start.
Ooh, bottom lane, Artstar indeed trying to set this up. Funnick moving in, and the Gust is going to be there. Funnick still going to try and get out of this Burrow Strike, and he might be able to find it. He will indeed. Illidan getting low. Now Funnick with the Soundstone keeping himself alive, but the right click flying through from Lil will find the return kill, and Lil might look for more. He hasn't got the Grave Chill again. It's still on cooldown, so won't be able to chase that one. So it is just a 1-for-1 trade here. Favouring Na'Vi though, I suppose, shutting down the position one and getting some more gold onto your Sand King.
A very effective trade, to say the least. And the nice thing, too, for Funnick is that the Drow died before he died, which means he also got golden experience for that exchange, so it makes it even better. And so far, Na'Vi is still doing pretty well here in this early game. Fissure mid.
Yeah, Denny's going to be blocked off it, but he's still able to just walk around the tip. And he's going to be A-okay. In terms of the farm in the mid lane, still pretty even. G just with the edge in terms of denies.
I think the biggest things is that Artstar's spending a lot of time bottom, right? He's prioritizing, trying to keep the Drow down, and getting a disruption into a stun is great. Usually results in a kill if the hero's not at full HP. They are going to go on Phobos here. Nice dodge, though, on that Burrow. I think that Phobos is actually going to start getting a lot more experience because the supports are not really pressuring him that much. It's more, we want to make sure the Drow doesn't get the farm.
Indeed. I mean, looking at comparing the two offlaners at the moment, well, Phobos just sitting into level 4. Same situation here for Funnick on the Sand King, so a fairly even game here between the sides. And Funnick, well, he's already got a stack created. He's going to look to try and turn that triple into a quad. And this is going to be the point of the game where we'll probably see Funnick sit back a little bit. The bottom lane's been left totally open. We might see Artstar just trying to hang around, get some levels there on the Shadow Demon. But this is going to be the side of Na'Vi just trying to make the most of the map at this point.
Now, the important thing for Na'Vi is not losing too much in the first, 15-20 minutes. If Havos can get the core items that he needs, he's working his way towards Vlad's right now.
And he needs to be careful. FNG's got an Invis. They'll be able to get the Fissure. Then he's going to try and walk this one around, but the Razors will connect, and FNG's just standing there saying, "You shall not pass." They'll get the kill. Seneko coming in. It's a little bit too late. He's going to try and do what he can with the Arctic Burn against G, bringing him low, but G pops the charges, and they will just force Seneko back. But very nice play there from FNG with that Invis ring.
That block. As we were talking about a second ago, the Lycan is really the key factor here for Na'Vi because he can gap close against Drow like no other. Like, he can just walk forward. And the fact of the matter is VP only have one real hard disable to get rid of him, and that's in the Shaker, right? So if the Lycan gets close range, Illidan has to run. Like, he cannot stand there and tank it. And I assume at some point this Lycan is going to be picking up a BKB. So they do have counterplay to the Drow after the mid game is over, and they're not really losing their lanes that hard. So I would actually say that Na'Vi are getting out of this laning phase pretty good.
Lil's got to be careful that he doesn't get caught out by a disruption. Artstar, he's looking for it, but Lil will just eat himself through the trees, trying to get himself out. They're going to look to... Oh god, they're going very aggressive there with Dendi rotating in as well. They really wanted to try and find something. And now Dendi on the bottom lane. They've left the mid lane to Seneko here, trying to get a few levels onto the Wyvern and trying to work himself towards that curse.
And that's going to be a huge tool for them in the team fights because these types of lineups have a tendency to 5-man. Now, they will be able to spread out pretty nicely because they have 4 range and 1 melee. So it's not like you're going to be getting huge curses, but the range and the ability is so long and that you can start the fight based off that. And Funnick has also had a pretty good start, so he's sitting on 1,300 gold. You're also going to have a blink on him. There's a lot of combo play that Na'Vi can execute in these fights, whereas VP, their combo is more or less just waiting for the Shaker to get his blink dagger, and the Puck also to get his blink dagger.
What? So coming in, he's going to be able to get the disruption onto Illidan. Dendi's there as well, but the Fissure might be enough to hold them back. Now the Lightning Storm, the split up coming over it. They'll find Illidan. Can they find FNG here as well? The right click from Artstar, it might just be enough. The Shadow Poison is just going to be off the mark. FNG trying to chew this one out. Will be able to get himself back to the tower, and Artstar will simply TP out. FNG moving in, he won't be able to find the stun as Na'Vi get out and get away with a kill there onto Illidan.
Very nice pick off. Taking the Drow Ranger out at this early stage of the game. It's the ideal time. The other timing would be when your Lycan actually has BKB, and you can just run at him. That's also a really good time. But for now, Na'Vi, they've pretty much fully recovered, I would say, from their 0-2 to VP earlier on in the series. That last game, I think, was a huge motivational boost for the team, and now they actually feel like they're playing Na'Vi's game, which is not letting VP just dictate everything that happens all over the map.
Still in terms of farm, of course, Shadow Fiend is sitting at the top G, working towards that mechanism. And with the kind of lineup the VP have got, is that going to be pretty much their first big item that's going to allow them to look to group up and look to start to push down these towers?
Yeah, I think so. I think the mech timing is very key. Whenever you have Shadow Fiend...
If he gets caught out, can he find the Gust? He's just going to look to TP out straight away. Is it going to be enough with the Gust duration? Oh, just. Only just. As he will be able to escape from that one.
A level 1 Gust is a 3-second silence, so if you do it very quickly, you should always be able to TP. And that is a very nice play, because if he dies again, it's going to become a little bit ridiculous. Needs the supports to try to help him out. Important to note, though, Lil is very close to level 6, so once he has his familiars out, he's going to be helping a lot more in these engagements. And even heroes like Shadow Demon can just die to the birds. Like, if they randomly attack you and you're trying to commit to a kill, you just end up trading. And Lil is a phenomenal Visage player, so I'm looking to see VP start to gain some momentum once they get 6 on him. And Phobos is going to be level 6 after this one creep dies mid.
Worth noting, Funnick's been very productive in the jungle, and we're seeing a pre-10-minute Blink Dagger now coming online to the Sand King, thanks to the freedom that he's been given up there. And well, we're seeing a fight kick off in the bottom lane. They'll have a Fisher block here. Arstov's going to get taken down. Denny going to look for the TP out, and he is just going to make it. FNG trying to move forward there with the Enchant Totem, looking for the passive, but they take down the Shadow Demon. But Na'Vi, of course, with this Blink SK, we'll see what they're able to achieve. Snaker, they're just snagging the top rune from Illidan.
The Blink timing coming out before the mech is even complete is great news for Na'Vi, and the fact that they haven't shown it yet also means they should be able to take, at the very least, one free team fight. Like, that Blink initiation should pretty much result in a kill as long as Dendy's in the area, so you have a nice stun follow-up. And you're also looking at your Winter Wyvern, who just hit level 6 and has TP available, but I'm not sure if Seneko is actually going to be able to contribute to this bottom smoke.
Maybe we see bottom lane Artstyle and Dendy maybe feeling confident to go for this one on their own, and it is just still alone. They'll find the lining slow, and they're moving forward, but they haven't quite got the vision. It doesn't matter, the split up still connects, and Lil is just going to get blown up there as Dendy and Artstyle clean up.
Almost middle lane. Is he actually going to go for the dive here? He has Coil.
Gonna have to drop it, and the Fisher as well, just coming in time. FNG walking forward. Of course, we'll take the Dream Coil stun to the face, and Funnick actually walking up to the high ground will, of course, reveal the Blink Dagger. So if VP were keeping their eyes open, they'll know that that is there, and almost certainly just play a little bit more carefully when they go out in these lanes.
To be honest, a lot of the time when you see an item like that, you have a tendency to ping, but maybe they're just on voice comms and they didn't. I think it would be pretty irresponsible to not click Funnick when it's already 11 minutes into the game, so I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I think they probably did see it. But you still have to be very cautious all the time now, because if Funnick gets one good epi or like a couple of good burrow strikes even, they can turn the fight just based off that, like regardless of whether or not you have mech, because the stun follow-up is going to be so strong. And again, VP do not have a lot of ways to peel. Like, how do you actually stop Na'Vi from running into you with that Lycan once he starts getting that BKB up? VP really need to try to get this mech timing and make something happen, because as of right now, it's around 12 minutes in. The Drow Visage timing is around 15 to 20 minutes where it reaches like a really strong point. And I think by then, Na'Vi might already have all the tools they need to deal with it.
I'm talking about the plan for Na'Vi. What is the idea now? Do they want to try and take this tier 1 in the mid lane and then maybe look for Roshan? Or could they even look for Roshan a little bit earlier now with the fact that they do have this medallion on the Lycan?
Oh, the Lycan can just solo it.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter. Like, if Na'Vi take one good engagement, they get Roshan, 100%. There's no way that VP are going to be able to contest. Although, with a mid-tier 1 still standing, I think that Na'Vi might prioritize that first. It just depends on how aggressive VP are, because if they get caught out by this Blink Dagger and they lose a couple of heroes, it's tier 1 into Roche.
G going forward, the slow from this left track. There'll be the Fisher onto Artstyle, orbing forward. He's not going to want to jump forward to that. Oh, yes, he is. Phobos says, I want to fight. Dream Coil drops onto Artstyle and Dendy. Dendy trying to turn this one around, trying to find the puck. Low ground, Lil just throwing the soul assumptions in the races as well from G, bringing Dendy low. But now Funny coming in with the epicenter will bring down Illidan, and now with the curse controlling Lil. Can Na'Vi look for anything else? It's going to be Phobos just zipping around, trying to clean up. Lil's found a double kill. Phobos with the Rainier Rift holding back Funny and Havoste. They're trying to get something out of this fight, but at the moment, it's just VP with the superior control. And Phobos' brashness, they're jumping straight in, working out there very nicely for the Radiant.
And the birds were right on top of him too, so they managed to get one of the supports straight away. There was no disruption there. But if you think about it, Na'Vi only lost supports for that, and they still killed Illidan. So if they manage to somehow defend this tower, I think it might not be too bad, but I think Dendi is actually just counter-pushing top lane while this is going on. So maybe in the end, Virtus.pro will be able to get that tier 1 tower. And right now, that is actually going to be their first tower if they can secure it. Looks like Na'Vi, though, enforcing this. They got 3 here now. I mean, to be honest, that fight could have gone a lot worse for Na'Vi. Only losing Seneko and Artstyle, that's not too bad.
And after that bit of a fight, they're going to look for Roshan here. They won't quite be able to bring down the bird. But I don't think that's going to matter too much. Illidan is making his way towards that with the backup of G and Nil. The question is if they can get there in time. They're going to smoke up. Roshan is taking its time. And if they can jump into this one will be maybe a good fight for VP if they can get them. But Na'Vi, they've got the full 5-man around. It's going to be very hard to take this fight if you are VP. They're still yet to hit level 6 on this Earthshaker. They don't have the Echo Slam. Illidan moving forward, link with the D-Ward. Now Funnick coming forward, getting the Burrow Strike onto Lil as well. Denny's been trapped the other side of the Fissure and have lost it with the ultimate form. Maybe trying to find this, but they're all getting incredibly low. Denny will be kept alive here by the Cold Embrace, but Illidan, he's getting taken down. They will find the kill of the Drow Ranger. Now Funnick with a Burrow Strike onto 2 is going to make a second kill happen. FNG falling as well. G going up to the high ground, trying to fight up against Artstyle, but G's going to lose his life. It's a double kill for Dendi. Phobos, the only one to remain alive. He might find the kill onto Funnick, and Funnick there with a sandstorm just in time. Phobos has to all down to the low ground, and Na'Vi taking a very convincing fight there.
I gotta say that the Winter Wyvern came in huge there, saving Dendi Seneko on point with his Cold Embrace. They didn't even use Winter's Curse for that team fight, and they still managed to take it convincingly. I think a lot of the issue, too, was the fact that FNG is still not level 6. He doesn't have Echo Slam, so he's walking in. He wants to try to do something, anything, to try to secure a single kill, but he has so little experience right now that he's not really able to contribute much. And you compare that to Funnick right now, who's been in that off lane. He got his Blink Dagger. They're even going to get both Familiars off of the Roshan, so that's another 200 bonus gold that they get. I think Na'Vi, right now, they have had probably one of the better early games that you can expect against the Drow Visage lineup, and I can't really see it slowing down.
CVP just look to apply some pressure. They'll finally be able to clear out this tier 1 here in the mid lane from the side of Na'Vi. But yeah, in terms of the net worth difference, Na'Vi's starting to break away, coming towards that 7,500 lead that it's settling around in terms of XP as well, reaching 10k. I mean, the question is, for VP at this point, I mean, how's G doing on top of the mechanism? Well, he's working towards that BKB. He has the Ogre Club.
He does need it. The other problem, though, is that since they're only going to have one hero with BKB, and Illidan is kind of really easy to take out, they can just focus the Winter's Curse and the Soul Catcher and like everything on G, and they can take him out with just a Lycan, who is probably going to have a book pretty soon, and he does have Aegis available on top of that, so they can just kamikaze G and take him out, I think. That's going to be the real issue, is getting farther and farther into the game. Dealing with the Lesh and the Lycan is going to become a huge problem, as again, not that many disables.
Not at all, and Funnick just continues to farm. What's his next item of choice going to be? I mean, what does he go for after the Blink Dagger in your mind for this SK?
Well, I think Force Staff is a pretty good choice in most games, just to be able to reposition yourself. You don't always have to get a big epi if you're landing consistent like 2 or 3 man burrow strikes, and Funnick has shown that he is very proficient on the Sand King middle lane.
FNG, Fissure indeed onto her burst. Got everyone here on the side of VP, but not really having the tools to go further. Dendi has now completed his Bloodstone here, so pretty good timing. Not the quickest kind of Leshrac Bloodstone timing we've seen this tournament, but it's online nonetheless. And
I mean, 17 minutes ain't bad.
Yeah,
it's still really good,
I'm
actually.
kind of used to kind of the G's kind of 13, 14 minute Lesh Bloodstone.
You didn't have like 600 GPM at the start of the game. How dare you? No, I am definitely on the same page, though. We've seen some faster ones, but I do think that Funnick might go back for something like Yule's, actually, too. I know he really likes that item. He bought it on, I think it was Nyx the other day, and he actually opted out of getting a Blink Dagger even to buy it. So I think Sand King with Yule's is also very nice. Kind of solves all your mana issues. Let's see what he goes for. And looking at VP right now, like G getting the BKB, it's nice. And they do have a lot of physical damage. But I actually think that their lineup makes Winter Wyvern better. Because if you Cold Embrace somebody and you're relying on the Drow and the Shadow Fiend to be able to burst them down with Visage Birds, it's not going to work. Like, you're actually just going to die in the time that the Cold Embrace saves that hero, and then you could just get cursed as well.
Middle lane, let's see if the side of Na'Vi want to push this one. Just the 3 of them at the moment. They do have Funnick coming in as well here from the side, and yeah, it's the full 5 man of Na'Vi. gravitating towards this mid-tier one. They want to fight here. FNG coming very close to them, and he's going to get caught out here by the slow. Burrow strikes going to be off point. The Split Earth's not. They're controlling FNG, and now Illidan coming in with the gust to hold back Dendi. The Fissure will be enough to stop Na'Vi from going any more aggressive up there, but the fortification coming out in the mid lane. We'll buy this tier 1 sometime, but the Voice now with this Necro Book and with the Wolves. Well, let's go back in. Now with the ult, they maybe want to try and look to go deeper and try and find the fight that we have. Fissure holding back the Wolf, but now G getting caught out here on the Shadow Fin, and he's just going to evaporate there to the damage from Na'Vi. Soul Assumption onto Avos, but Avos is going to continue to chase. Arstal getting low here, the Dream Coil controlling him, but against Seneko, keeping him alive here with the Embrace. Arstal so low, Echo Slam will come out, but it's a double kill for Avos. He's just cleaning up. He'll find Illidan as well, making it a triple kill. Funnick blinks forward. They want to find FNG as well here by the looks of it, and they will do indeed with a Burrow Strike. Ultra kill for Avos. Oh no, he's not going to be a Rampage. He's trying to chase down the Visage, and he might just find it here with the Wolves, bringing him low. No, it's going to hold him back there. The two Familiars now to reach some of the Wolves. They're going to chase it. I think Lil gets away from this one, but still an ultra kill for Havost in the mid lane. Again, Na'Vi, what a fight.
There's no control. They can't stop them from just walking into you. That's really the problem with the lineup in general, and they needed to be able to win the lanes a lot harder than they did. And simply put, like, the Lycan still farmed out very well. We're going to get a chance to watch this fight again, and we can just see there's absolutely no response. Like, Havost, he pops his ulti, he just starts running in, and the rest of VP are standing there like, okay, yeah, we coil, but it's on Artstyle, who's alone. We wanted to try to get a kill on him, and they eventually do, but they also commit Phobos to his orb to do that, and they both get cursed at the same time. And at that point, the fight's already over. Like, FNG can do nothing at this point.
And that was a pretty big advantage. So Dendy's going to get caught out here. The question is, do they have the damage? And well, the answer is no, they don't by the looks of it. Dendy able to walk this one off. FNG, I'm really thinking if he could get that second Fissure through, but no, Dendy's a little bit too speedy. Some items being picked up now from Na'Vi. Funnick now has got a completed 4-staff on top of his Blink Dagger. And of course, as we were seeing in that last fight, the fact that Seneco's got a Glimmer Cape, 12 Bloodstone charges now onto Dendi, and you do now, thanks to that fight, have a level 3 Necro Book onto Havost.
This is terrifying for VP. I'm thinking if there's any way they can actually outplay that, but in reality, they need BKBs, and they desperately need Blink on FNG. Those are the only things that I can foresee actually changing the outcome of any of these fights, and like trying to favor Virtus.pro, because at the moment, FNG is broke, right? Like, he's got 29 gold to his name. He's been playing hard 5 Earthshaker, so not really getting any of the farm priority. I think they were relying a lot on being able to get early towers to supplement the gold income for him so he could get to his Blink Dagger, because otherwise he's just spending all his money on wards, and they're not winning team fights, so he has no other source of income at all, and he's even letting Lil get the farm so maybe he can make his way towards that Aghanims. And there's only one tower down for Na'Vi, and that's the mid tower.
It's going to be a tricky one for the side of VP, but we've seen them be able to pull some crazy stuff out of the bag before, and let's see if they can do it this game. Top lane, maybe looking to want to fight, but Na'Vi, they're going to be ready there in full force. This is a hard fight for them to go for. Fissure coming out. There's going to be the blink forward from Phobos. Soul Assumption bringing Danny low, but it's not quite enough now. Vos just turning up. He's found one, he's found two. There's going to be two dropping on the side of VP. The Requiem coming out, but still no one to fall on the side of Na'Vi. G will get the punches from Tarstel. The Soul Assumption bringing him low. They do find the kill onto the Shadow Demon, but Vos is just running around, and he's going to look for more now. Funnick blinking forward with a Burrow Strike onto G. Vos now with a triple kill. Lil trying to chase down Dendi, but Vos to Seneko moving here with the Arctic Burn. They will find... No, they're not. Dendi's going to be able to get themselves away. Lil's looking for the TP, but Funnick, is he going to get out? No! The Burrow Strike there from Funnick, catching him just in the nick of time. Everyone dying on the side of VP. And again, they just can't seem to take these fights against Na'Vi.
I feel so bad for FNG right now. He got stuck in trees because of 2 wolves, and then when Funnick came in with the epicenter, he was forced to just panic echo because he knew he was going to die anyway. Like, he wanted to try to deal some form of damage. But these team fights, it is so difficult for VP to get in. And how did they deal with Havost? Look at this. FNG's stuck. He's sitting there like, please God, somebody help me. They go in. The start of this fight actually didn't look too bad for the side of VP because they get a couple of heroes low really fast. The coil was on 2, but again, Seneko coming in with the heal. That Requiem actually would have killed Dendi had he not used Cold Embrace, and then maybe they wouldn't have had to commit so hard for Lil to make something happen. But again, here comes Havost. He's got the ult form activated. G can do nothing. Funnick gets another nice Burrow Strike off to secure that kill. And at this point, it's just Lil versus the world. And despite his best efforts, he was not able to make it out here.
And now I've got to notice, well, they did kill Dendi. It's just the fact that he respawned straight away, thanks to Bloodstone charges. He was literally back straight into the game immediately. But still, nonetheless, 18-10 now for the side of Na'Vi. The net worth difference getting bigger and bigger. And the question is, with the kind of lineup that VP are running, how much of a comeback potential is there, Andy?
I think this is actually the most convincing lead that we've seen so far in the series, just in general. And I think it has a very similar feeling to yesterday's winter bracket finals when Na'Vi came in and won the most decisive game. And I believe Cinderin also said that during some of the pregame talk. So for me right now, Na'Vi feel to be in a very good spot. Not untouchable, but it is definitely an uphill battle if you're VP. And again, the first thing that you need on the road to recovery is BKB on your Shadow Fiend and Blink Dagger on your Initiator on that Shaker. I mean, Phobos has one, which is nice. But I think Havost, okay, is not going BKB now. He's going for the Assault Cuirass instead, which is still okay. But once he gets BKB, unstoppable. Like, he goes into Shapeshift form, he pops BKB with his book. No one on VP can touch that.
I mean, VP, how are we doing in terms of looking for the Blink Dagger for the Earthshaker? It's still a bit of a pipe dream.
Yes.
Poor old FNG. He's a long, long way away from it. I mean, maybe they can find a fight and things look good. You know, seeing Lil himself working towards that Aghanim. He's got 2 of the components so far. Illidan, I guess the Ogre Club himself, deciding that a BKB is going to have to be the order of the day here for this Drow Ranger. Which he kind of feels like in, I believe, was it the Havost Anti-Mage that built a BKB? No, it was the Juggernaut, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
It's another kind of one of those items that building it on a Drow, you don't really want to be forced to do so, but he kind of has to in this situation.
You actually want to build primarily stat items. Like SNY is very common on Drow and these types of lineups if you do very well in the laning phase because it just gives you more benefit of your precision aura. But here we go.
This is a big jump in from Phobos. They're catching out Denti and Seneka. They'll be able to bring down the Leshrac. Seneka will have the defensive disruption coming out from Artstar, and Seneka's just going to turn this one with the curse onto G. Havost moving forward. Look at this damage. Echo Slam will come out from FNG, holding Seneka in place, but now he's going to embrace himself. Phobos will still be able to get the magical damage through. They'll bring that one. Oh, Sonic there with the epicenter. The burrow strike onto 3. Triple kill for Havost, so they take down Illidan. And again in these fights, just a combination blaze from Funny and Havost.
Middle tower is under attack.
Well, that's the third team fight where we've seen Na'Vi take down 4 or 5 heroes and then themselves losing one, this time losing 2, but still. I don't know, man. This is looking to be a pretty tricky one for VP.
You know, I gotta say, in that team fight, the curse seemed a little bit lackluster coming out from Saneko, and then you saw Funnick come in after the fact because the curse didn't really taunt anyone. It was just there, I guess, to try to stop Dendi from going a little bit farther in. And during that time, he gets annihilated, right? Like, Lycan just chews him apart. Nothing he can do there. And then just ending the fight with the burrow. I think VP actually had to jump that, though. They see an opportunity for 2 heroes out of position. They say, look, we're very far behind. We need to try to get something, anything going for us so we can get some gold on at least FNG. I actually think he's the most important hero to get gold on right now outside of the SF. And other than that, it's just, that's a full Assault Cuirass on your Lycan after that team fight. Like, I actually have no idea how they're going to kill that hero.
26 minutes in. He's about 6,000 in terms of net worth ahead of the Shadow Fiend. It's a massive, massive jump. And understandably so, we've seen him get ultra kill, triple kill, triple kill after triple kill pretty much in every single fight. Havost has been picking up that gold. And well, it's just kind of a question of what VP can do in reaction to this lead that Na'Vi have. I mean, what is their best bet? Is it kind of waiting for Na'Vi to take the fight to them and to look for the counter-initiate? But at the same time, what kind of tools do they have to do that? They do have the blink on Phobos, but as we keep saying, FNG, I'm starting to question if he'll even have a blink by the end of this game.
The problem with VP's lineup is a lot of their heroes are very susceptible to mobility. So, like for instance, the Shaker, the Drow, even the Puck to a degree, because Lycan can actually just chase a Puck down. You have that movement speed bonus from the Shapeshift, and you can just run at him forever, force him to just use his orb defensively, and he can't really do much, right? So no one on the side of VP can actually stand against a Lycan at this point. I think really the problem with VP's lineup is they needed to do more in the early game than they actually accomplished.
There we go. They're going to try and break the base in Na'Vi. They've just picked up a completed mech on Seneko as well. This is going to be so hard for VP to fight into. Fortification will come out, but Na'Vi, they're looking to back up. They're probably just going to wait for this next creep wave to come through, but the tools that they have at their disposal, the fact that Lycan now looking towards that BKB, has the Ogre Club picked up. It's... I mean, I don't know. Andy, say something.
I'm thinking, man. I'm really thinking if VP can actually find a way to outplay this, then it's tough. Like, that's all I can say. Look at this Lycan. He's got, what, 35 armor right now? 2,100 health? Again, it just boils down to the fact that this lineup is supposed to be more successful in the first 15 minutes, 20 minutes of the game than what they were. Na'Vi just managed to find a couple of really nice kills. Imagine back to the first game of the series, if Na'Vi managed to get some good skirmishes going with their AM, it would have had a very similar feeling to this game. And I think that game was very deceptive in that people looked at how it rolled out and said, oh man, well, clearly it was just an outdraft. But Na'Vi actually had about the same opportunity to do that to VP in that game they do this one. It's just hitting that proper timing, and VP were never really able to get there. So now a lot of their heroes, they just feel anemic. Like, what is a Drow Ranger supposed to do? He has an Ogre Club and Treads, and it's 28 minutes in.
There we go, Funnick with the epicenter, catching Illidan and Lil, now with the curse on Lil, holding him in place to bring down the Visage. Phobos jumping forward here with the Dream Call, trying to do what he can. Effigies pop the Echo Slam, but it's just not enough. Maybe with G coming in, they could do the damage. They've managed to bring down Funnick. Avos being protected here by the Embrace. They're keeping him in their side of the base, and they will find the Lycan kill as well. This is the best fight we've seen from VP so far. The Birds are going to chase down the remainder. Maybe they can find more. Phobos blinking forward, orbing as well with the Raining Rift. They'll find a third kill, and now it's Denny just on the run. The question is, can they chase him down? He's going to start to buy up. He builds towards that BKB, picks up the Ogre Club and the Myth for a hammer. Looks like he will escape anyway. But that was a very impressive fight from VP, considering how the last 3-4 team fights have gone against Na'Vi.
I think the fight recap is a little bit off. I'm pretty sure it was a little bit more than 174 gold exchange there for VP. But either way, like you said, amazing fight. They actually get the godlike. Who received that one? It was wait, who actually got the streak for that?
It was
There's like a bunch of kill spam. Yeah, it was Illidan. Okay,
yeah, it was
so
Illidan.
that's really nice for him. That pretty much puts him directly at BKB. They're going to counter pressure the tier 2 middle here. Not really going to be able to get much damage on it though. I think they'll feel more than happy with just being able to kill those heroes. The one thing though is, again, FNG, he got some money for that. Still very far away from Blink. I think these engagements are so important to have Blink Dagger when you have this lineup of Na'Vi who just want to run at you. Like, they want to go high ground, they want to pop shapeshift, they want to just fly into your base and kill you. And having an Echo Slam available would make that significantly harder to do. And the other thing too that's important here is there is some tankiness that BP can get. Like, I think G right now has picked up an Ultimate Orb, so he might be going for the Scotty. They need some hero who can actually stand in the front line against a Lycan and not just immediately explode. But that's going to be a tall order because, again, Artstyle has that Soul Catcher, and it does penetrate BKB. So if Lycan gets on you and you're not tanky enough, you just die. But G, he's trying to make his way back in somehow. I even think stuff like Assault Cuirass would be really nice on him, but it doesn't give him any health. So itemizing against this team is also very difficult.
And one thing that's going to be a lot harder for VP in the next fight is the fact that, well, Avos, he's just halfway through the recipe of his BKB, so he's going to have that online fairly shortly, and the fact that Dendy now just sitting just under 50 gold away from his own completed BKB. So with the BKBs online for Na'Vi, these defenses from VP are just going to be that little bit harder.
They're still actually farming, like, creep-wise, not too bad. Like, the SF is barely below Dendy, like, a couple of CS difference, no real big deal there. The big difference, though, is the Drow and the Lycan. The Drow actually has half the CS of the Lycan at this point, and Funnick is almost tied in terms of creep kills with Illidan at this point. And that ain't great. Oh, this is actually a really nice pickup from Phobos, by the way. The Aghanim's Coil, that could actually be very strong against Na'Vi. Instead of the Lycan just being able to freely walk around and do whatever he wants, this is a guaranteed 4.5 second stun if he breaks that coil, regardless of whether or not he has BKB. So for the first time in the game, VP actually have some way of controlling the Lycan outside of just a shaker, which can be the difference between catching him out completely and just getting a kill on him and forcing another nice engagement like we saw in middle lane, and then him just running into you and just killing you instantly. So this is actually a very nice pickup.
Having a look at Illidan as well, how's he been able to catch up? On top of the BKB, 1,500 gold. Now, for himself, what do you reckon we'll see? What will he try and work towards now? Now he's got the BKB and a bit more sustainability.
I'm kind of wondering the same, actually. Like, you have BKB, right? To keep yourself safe from the Blink Burrow, of course, and stay on the back line. I think you kind of want to build some stat items. Like, I don't think Casual Yasha is the worst choice, just in regards to what it offers the rest of your team. You have Visage, obviously, you have Shadow Fiend, you have Puck. The right-click damage that you gain from having this stat item is still, I would say, worth it, and being able to move a little bit faster isn't bad either. Like, being mobile in fights is something that Drow, she kind of needs. If you're not mobile, you need a team that's front line and control heavy to be able to stop the enemy from getting to you. Since Virtus.pro don't have that, I think anything that allows him to be more maneuverable would be better.
So closing in on his Skadi as well, G. We'll see if he's able to get that one online sooner or later. But yeah, this next fight, it's all going to be about the Phobos Dream Core. If he's able to catch out these two heroes that have just picked up the BKBs, both the Lycan and the Leshrac, maybe VP can swing the fight very convincingly.
I think it's the safest bet for VP right now is just to wait until Na'Vi try to go high ground again. But what Na'Vi could do is they could just wait out the next Roshan spawn. It's going to be showing how long it's going to be taking in the next probably like 10 seconds or so. And then once they scout it out, they'll decide what they want to do from there. And this is a very tense moment in the game for VP because if they end up losing this game, it's going to match point. Like either team that wins just automatically wins the entire series. And it's got to be a little bit, not demoralizing, but it's got to be frustrating to go from 2-0 to being in this position where you're actually losing the 4th game.
There's smokes up here. VP wrapping around into their own jungle. It's going to get dispelled here by Funnick though.
Oh, that's such an early BKB actually. They need to just run right now.
The question is, do Na'Vi try and turn back into this one? VP, they're looking to chase it. It's not going to follow through to that old Phobos. And now, well, Funnick is going to get the burrow strike onto G. Dendy, they're going to be able to clean up Illidan there with the curse. And they're going to find Lil here as well. Illidan buying back. Well, here we go, the burrow strike onto G, bringing him solo now. Vos with the BKB, chasing them all down. Dendy with a double kill. And that's going to be a Vos just diving the tower, looking for more the burrow strike, catching out FNG. The silence will come out from Phobos, but it doesn't look like it's enough to stop them. No, Vos will take down the Earthshaker as well. And we were talking about how key the Phobos Dream Call would be, and it just didn't come in that situation. Na'Vi just getting the upper hand, forcing out a buyback from Illidan, taking the tier 2, and now with 3 heroes down, the fact that G, he does not have buyback on this Shadow Fiend. And regarding the pushing power of Na'Vi, these racks are going to melt if they get onto them.
Assault Kiras on the Lycan is going to ensure that his base dies very, very quickly. I would imagine that during that engagement for VP, G imagined that Phobos was going to go in right away. Like, you just drop a coil on a hero to get a kill, and that's why he BKB'd, assuming that the team was just going to follow up straight away. And as soon as I realized that they weren't committing to the fight, and that BKB is popped, you have to run. You cannot fight without magic immunity outside of your own base, and for that mistake, VP, they get double racks by Na'Vi.
They're going to try and chase this FNG, maybe see if he can find a Fissure. He's not going to be the Fissure, and maybe Na'Vi wanting to turn this burrow strike on into Illidan and Lil. Na'Vi want to continue this fight. Phobos moving forward here with the Waning Rift. Then he pops the BKB, moves forward just straight into the center of it all. Trying to see the Echo Slam coming out from FNG, just catch him, but FNG is still going to go down. He just doesn't have the damage follow-up on this Earthshaker. Lil having to back off, and it's a 1-for-1 trade so far. G's popped the BKB, trying to take down these Necro units that are looking for Illidan. Won't find it, but now Phobos taking the return damage, and that's going to be it until G finds her Vost. So Vos getting himself away. They've got the Dream Call of Vos. He could be in a bit of a spot of bother here, but Artstar coming back in. It's Suneko, Funnick finding the burrow strike onto Phobos. There'll be the gust coming out from Illidan. Phobos incredibly low, and Illidan trying to turn out to Funnick. Funnick's going to be kept alive here as he uses himself up into the air. Pops the Sandstorm. It won't be enough. They do pick off the Sand King. Now the Wolves and a Vos. They're looking for Illidan. They're looking for Lil. Artstar and Suneko chasing this one down now. The blast. Oh, flying over to Illidan. They'll pick off the Drow Ranger. And now with the disruption onto Lil. That's going to be another kill for Na'Vi as they take down the Drow and the Visage. Top lane's going to be the focus, and this could be, they're verging on Mega Creeps. There's no buyback for G, there's no buyback for Illidan. Visher will come out, they're sending the familiars out as well, but look at that graph, how far it's just steeped off in favor of Na'Vi thanks to all those kills that they've got. And G is called. We're going to Game 5, Andy.
I don't think anyone coming into this series expected anything less than a Game 5, but maybe not in this fashion.
No.
It was 2-0 into another 2-0, and now it's just match point. No matter who takes the next game, we will see a champion out of the next game. So I gotta say, again, for this draft, it didn't really feel like... I've seen VP run Drow in the past, and it's been very successful, and I think a lot of it is based off the fact that in the middle lane, G actually gets a hero that he can bully with. I think a lot of it was not getting your hands on something like a Viper, for example, to be put up against that Leshrac, a little bit less punishable. They weren't really able to get far ahead in the lanes, and I think that's really the only reason that you want to pick Drow in the first place. You go for a snowball. I felt like VP wanted to just end the game very quickly against it, and between the Sand King pick that I thought was really key from Na'Vi, Funnick's burrow strikes and epicenters solidified them the mid game, and then Havos being on a hero that VP just simply couldn't deal with. Like, as soon as he got up that Assault Kiras, it's just like, what do you do? You actually have no way of killing that hero. And even with Phobos having that Aghanim's coil, it's just, it was too little too late by then. It was.
I mean, that was the big kind of potential for swinging round. But Na'Vi, they didn't care. And Suneko, of course, once again on the Wyvern. A lot of situations where, you know, Vos was on the edge, which is able to top him up with the old Cold Embrace, allowing the fight to continue, using the Winter's Curse to control some of the bigger issues on the side of VP, like the G Shadow Fiend. And at the end of the day, Na'Vi, they do it. There was a little bit of a rough patch where, you know, VP did get, a couple of good team fights after the back of Na'Vi just kind of steamrolling it, and it was like, okay, maybe VP have a shot, but at the end of the day, the pushing power from Na'Vi was insane. You know, with the Necrobooks, as you're saying, with the AC, if VP lost the fight as they did and they weren't able to get the Drow and the Shadow Fiend back on the field for about 40 seconds, you were going to lose a few sets of racks and ultimately the game.
I think the biggest issue with VP's draft here, and of course, after having watched the game, it's kind of feeling the second draft in a row, actually, where they had a team that needed to play from ahead pretty much the entire game. I would say that was the same thing that kind of suffered from in the third game, where they had the Lina pick from G, and they also had their supports Rubik and Ancient Apparition, the heroes that kind of just fall off really hard if you're not just crushing the game. I feel this is a very similar kind of a draft where, okay, well, we didn't get ahead in our lanes, even though we picked Drow. We have a bunch of ranged heroes, and then a Shaker who had literally 0 farm priority. He had 10 CS in a 36-minute game, never even got to his Blink Dagger. So maybe draft something that allows you to actually fight a little bit more, because Navi's draft was actually built to be able to fight at a very early stage. Funnick had a pre-10-minute Blink Dagger. It was completely insane. So I think maybe this isn't the strongest form of draft for VP. I would like to see them pick a little bit more aggressive in the next game.
And I've got to be honest, I feel like we've seen not as much aggression from both sides as we kind of expected going into this in terms of fighting. A lot of them kind of just focusing on more pushing and the other team just avoiding it, looking to farm up. And at the end of the day, the fact that Avost, he didn't have that much of a bad time in lane. He did have that space early on. And the fact that he was able to get those early items on, they were able to ensure that they got the Roshan pretty much every time. It was just too much, the momentum, and VP couldn't stop it. But we are going to be going to Game 5. And what a game it's going to be.
I'm ready.
It's my body is ready as well, and I hope you guys are ready as well at home. Don't go anywhere. Game 5 is going to be right around the corner, and we'll treat you to a short, well, I say short. It might be a little bit longer than short. It's just going to be a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere before Game 5.